Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining and welcome to our webinar, Transforming Code Quality and Code Security with SonarQube Server, the Wolters Kluwer story. Just as the name suggests, today we'll be talking with Paul Edwards, DevSecOps Architect at Wolters Kluwer, about his experience with SonarQube Server and specifically about upgrading to the latest 2025 Release 1 LTA. Paul expressed some exciting findings that he's going to share with us today. As a bonus, Wolters Kluwer is participating in our SonarQube Advanced Security Early Access Program, and hopefully I can coax some cool tidbits out of him regarding his experience with advanced security. I'm Robert Curlee, Product Marketing Manager for SonarQube Server. I'm hosting the webinar today, but before I officially introduce Paul, please let me go over a few housekeeping essentials. This session will last around 45 minutes, including time at the end for Q&A. Sometimes we go over, but we'll be sure to cut it at least before an hour is up. So we'll definitely be under the hour slot. We invite you to submit your questions anytime during the webinar via the Q&A box in Zoom. Please don't submit questions in the Zoom chat. This is important as we don't monitor the Zoom chat and we only want to monitor the Q&A area in Zoom. But there will be some things in that we post occasionally in the Zoom chat. We may have some links or stuff to refer to there. So you can keep an eye on that, but please don't ask questions there. We have a panelist joining us today, Manish Kapoor. He is a Senior Director of Product Marketing here at Sonar. And he will be answering your questions live during the webinar in that Q&A area. So feel free to ask questions anytime throughout the webinar. You don't have to wait until the Q&A session at the end. The session is being recorded, and we will email you a link for the recording in a few days. There are no slides to share, so we don't have anything to share other than the recording of the webinar here. And then at the end, there's going to be a short survey. So please answer that. We'd love your feedback. It helps us plan on future webinars to make sure that they suit your needs. And yeah, thank you for your participation. But before we get going, there's a quick poll that we would like to know about your upgrade process. Where are you when in your upgrade? Have you started yet? Are you done? Are you planning to? I'd like to know where you are. Look at this. We have a pretty good participation so far, getting there. Planning to upgrade is certainly winning out. And a few of you, looks like you already have upgraded. Okay. Thank you for the poll. Do I share it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to get rid of this one. Here we go. Okay, sorry. Let's move on. I'm Robert Curlee. And I'm, as I said, Product Marketing Manager for SonarQube. I've been with Sonar for a year and a half, and I have a lot of background in software engineering, software product management. I'm definitely a software kind of guy. I love it, and I'm addicted. So there's a little bit about me. Paul has over 20 years of experience starting as a developer at Logica before transitioning into architecture. For the past 8 years, he has been an architect at Wolters Kluwer in the tax and accounting domain, specializing in product development and DevSecOps. Paul is dedicated to helping teams and stakeholders maximize the value of SonarQube to ensure they deliver the best products to their customers. Okay, so that's Paul. And we don't have more slides, so I'm going to cut the slides here and move on to the discussion. But Paul, I heard
Hi.
that you're a hockey guy. I'm a hockey guy. I play hockey. I've been a hockey fan my whole life. I'm from San Jose. I'm a San Jose Sharks fan. Um, Tell me, what is your favorite team? And also, a fun one is what got you into hockey?
Okay. Well, you'll hear from my accent. I'm from the UK. I live near London. So you might be surprised to hear that I'm a hockey fan. And when I say hockey, I'm talking about real hockey,
Ice
ice hockey,
hockey.
not
Yeah.
field hockey. Ice hockey is a bit of a minority sport in the UK, but there are a couple of tiers of professional leagues, and my favorite team is called the Sheffield Steelers. They are based in the north of England, and I got into hockey because I went to university in Sheffield, and hockey was a great thing to do. Got into the sport, fell in love, started learning to skate, learning to play, and I've been following them ever since.
That's awesome. I play hockey too. I love playing hockey. I started as an adult, so I'm not very good, but I try and I stick with it, and I have a lot of fun. So that's
Absolutely.
cool. That's cool that you're a hockey guy. I was very excited to hear that when I discovered it. Okay, let's get started. Tell us about you know a little bit about Wolters Kluwer and if you can and your role in the company.
Sure. So we have operations in around 40 different countries. We work across a number of different domains. So I'm part of our tax and accounting business. So we serve um, a variety of size tax and accountancy firms from the small to the big top four across the countries. And we have other divisions that work in healthcare, in corporate performance, legal and regulatory. But yeah, I'm here today to talk to you about our experience using SonarQube within tax and accounting. So I joined Wolters Kluwer in 2017, so 8 years ago, as you mentioned in the intro. I started working as part of the UK business, but then transitioned out to work kind of across Europe. And one of the things that we were looking to do there is to take all of the nine or so countries within Europe and within Wolters Kluwer Tax and Accounting and start to look at how we can really build quality, how we can standardize, how we can really drive better results by ensuring that we're coding better and that we're getting that consistency in.
What were some of the? I'm curious about your implementation of SonarQube.
Mhm.
How is your company using it, and what are some of the main challenges that your dev teams were facing that made you choose SonarQube? SonarQube
Sure.
Server.
So we had there were a number of different areas that we wanted to address. So there was a lack of transparency around technical debt, something that we wanted to look at, and we wanted to be able to really get a good view across the portfolio of where we were at, and particularly for senior management as well. So there were teams that were using Community Edition independently a number of years ago, talking kind of the late kind of 2018 around then. Um, and we decided to invest in the enterprise edition of SonarQube Server at the time because we wanted that portfolio visibility so we could start to group together projects within SonarQube under a single asset, single portfolio, so that at a management level, you could very clearly see this is the state of the projects within this portfolio for a given asset, as an individual product could comprise of 100 sub projects within SonarQube. So we wanted to have that transparency and visibility. But really, we had there was nothing really in place to stop bad code getting in. And we wanted to make sure that we had, beyond kind of code reviews, we had some additional controls around what gets into our master branches. When we're going through a pull request and we're introducing new code, we wanted to implement the quality gates to have them run as part of our pull request to ensure that we're stopping things getting in rather than letting everything get in and then finding it after the fact. So we really wanted to do that to also enforce some other targets as well around the test coverage, for instance, at the unit test level. So we
Mhm.
wanted to be stricter around how much coverage we had of new code. And that was something that, again, varied quite wildly across projects, across the organization. So we wanted to say, this is our baseline. We want to start enforcing for new code, high standard, no issues, high level of test coverage, and get that in at the pull request level. and then also have the benefits of the transparency, being able to better measure technical debt across the portfolio as well. So those were some of the challenges that we were trying to address.
Yeah, I love that you guys are fully in on using the quality gates in your your DevSecOps processes. I love that you're using the code coverage as part of the quality gate. Tell
Mhm.
me how those changes impacted your team's productivity or your business objectives.
So one of the things it really helped with is ensuring we had that level of test coverage meant that there was less investment required in the other areas of testing that we were having to do more of. So we had to focus a lot more on regression testing, functional testing, because we didn't have that level of automation around the unit testing because there was nothing stopping people putting new code in that wasn't being tested properly. So by having that level of unit testing there, that really helped us to accelerate, get our products to market quicker, but also to ensure the quality. We've always ensured the quality we deliver to our end customers is there, but it may have required in the past more manual effort after the fact, more testing around the release, rather than ensuring that we had that belt and braces approach, getting all of the automation in up front, making sure that all new code is tested at a unit test level. And then we still have the automated functional tests and everything that runs off of the back of that. But it's just making sure that we had that in and stopping issues getting in at that point, stopping security vulnerabilities being introduced unknowingly, stopping other bugs being introduced. So adding that the extra level of security that SonarQube gives us, where it spots things that a senior developer might overlook potentially as part of a code review. So it's adding that extra level of review and making sure that we had that extra guarantee of quality at the point code goes into master, rather than finding issues later down the line.
And what I like that we really focus a lot here at Sonar about trying to this concept of starting left, trying to get developers as they're writing code to find the issues, see the issues, resolve the issues, because we feel that trying to find them later in the software development life cycle is more challenging. Like the later you find them, the
Absolutely.
more challenging they are to find, to fix, where they are, what they are. How did you do you think that is something that your team saw? Did you see any impact to the bringing the discovery and the resolution earlier in the development life cycle? Did you find that was helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. We also agree on shifting left, and obviously DevSecOps, a lot of it's about shifting processes and scans left. And I know that we'll talk a little bit about SonarQube Advanced Security as well, where that's also helping us to shift some of that left, getting it into the PR process. But having that extra assurance at the pull request stage has really helped us to accelerate, and we've seen through our monitoring of our metrics and DORA metrics and things like that, that we've seen increased productivity from the teams after adopting. I know we've been with the Enterprise Edition for about 4 years now, I believe. So we've been evangelizing it and championing it internally, getting to the point where we start to mandate the use of it, and we started to mandate the use of the quality gate integration and DevOps integration. So we've been kind of tightening up processes as we go. And now we've got to the point where we go even further, and we have automation to check that people's branch policy mandates the gate check as a status check, and it's not just there as optional. So we're really pushing that because we have seen the benefits, and we have seen in the metrics that we track, we have seen the technical debt calculation come down as we calculate a kind of percentage of capacity for our teams that we want them to reserve to work on technical debt, and we do see that coming down. And when we started integrating the mandatory gate checks, there was a clear correlation between that and their overall scores that were being calculated. We could see the benefits there from mandating those checks and stopping those issues being introduced, which was excellent.
Oh, I love hearing that. I love hearing about, we're Sonar is a developer built, developer-led, developer-focused company. So the fact that your developers are embracing this, they're seeing the productivity, they're seeing the benefits of it. That warms my heart. I love it.
Absolutely. And things
I
like
could
the
talk all day
AI.
long about this, but
So
we're here because you posted this great finding about your upgrade journey from
yes.
previous, you were on a previous version to the current 2025 release 1 LTA to the LTA. So what prompted you to upgrade so early? You know, a lot of people wait, a lot of customers wait, which is great, which is fine. You guys went in pretty quickly and upgraded almost immediately when it was released. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we like to keep on top of the new releases. We tend to give it a couple of weeks cooling off period before jumping on it. So not quite on day one, but after a couple of weeks, we like to upgrade. And one of the reasons is it's so easy. Um, we also have we have the teams coming to us. Also, if there's a new feature, maybe there's a new language feature, maybe there are new um, features in the product like the AI code fix. It's something that the teams have been benefiting from. They will come to me and say, you know, when can we go to this release? And that will often be within days of a new release coming out. So people are keeping their eye on the release notes, seeing what's coming. And the fact that that process is so easy, it's a no-brainer. It's something we can easily jump on, something we could easily go back as well if we needed to. We've never had to do that, but we know that the release process is so straightforward that we could revert if we had to. So it's just been great for us to benefit from those new features.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. And I almost feel like we're cheating and prompting you in some way, but I know we're not. So I love hearing what you have to say. Um, but yeah, it's easy, but you must have some kind of concerns about upgrading. You must have some, be worried about some challenges. Did you have any, and what were they?
So I know that the process to go back is straightforward. So that's always there. So we know that if there are issues, then it's something we can get around, go and go back. I also know that we've always had a great relationship with SonarQube support. People always responded very efficiently. So I know that if there are issues that come out of a release, they're dealt with really well. So I've got that confidence there as well. So really, we don't have doubts about upgrading. We're happy to go, and yeah, I'll leave it a couple of weeks just in case there are any very early issues. But beyond that, we're ready to jump on those new releases.
I know, well, I know because I'm product marketing manager, but you should also have access to have test instances, like pre-production instances. Do you leverage that? Do you use that capability?
We actually don't. I
Okay.
know that we do have the ability to do that, but the system's been so reliable for us, and the release process has been rock solid for the last 4 years. It's not. It's never been an issue for us.
That's awesome to hear. Do you have, what are your, like when you're planning an upgrade, do you have specific expectations? Were those expectations met? Tell us about that.
So the upgrade process has always been quite quick for us. We operate SonarQube Server as a container, so the process of upgrading is literally just specifying the new container version that we want, redeploying, and then going through the SonarQube UI to run the upgrade if there's a database upgrade that needs to happen. We normally will coordinate with our teams and communicate that this upgrade is going to happen. There'll be a little bit of downtime, and that normally just happens out of hours on a work day. It's not something that has to happen at a weekend. The process is usually done and dusted within an hour or so. The release for 2025.1 did take longer. That was slightly unexpected. We had a much longer deployment process. It was still completed successfully within that evening, but it was a longer release. However, had I known the benefits that I was about to reap, I would have been much happier at the time, knowing that it was taking a bit longer. But yeah, the process has always been straightforward. So especially when you're operating as a container, we don't have to worry about installing on a VM or anything like that. It's just deploy a new container image, let the product upgrade its own database, and then off you go.
Awesome. Um, so I know, and maybe some of the audience here today knows about your post that we have shared in some of our content about the release. So the benefit, what was this surprise benefit? Tell us about this these benefits that you saw.
Sure. So we run around 1,200, 1,400 projects or so on our instance, around 28 million lines of code in total. Some of those projects are fairly significant in size. So one of them was a Java-based project around 3 million lines of code.
Wow.
That typically would take around anywhere between 3 and 5 hours to do a full scan of the full master branch. Pull request scans were down to kind of the 25-minute or so level, but still enough to annoy developers who are waiting to get their work through.
And so on an
So
upgrade, you're anticipating a long rescan, right? Because part of the upgrade is often like retriggering another full scan, right?
yeah, we as part of every upgrade, it would go through and re-index all the projects, and that's something that also has improved greatly over the years. That used to take much longer. So we came to 2025.1 and we ran a scan for the full scan of this large project, and the execution dropped to 15 minutes. So I immediately thought, what's gone wrong? Like that's significant, but everything checked out. The results were there as expected, and the pull request scans themselves were also down to less than a minute, kind of 30 seconds or so, which was absolutely unbelievable for us. And that also made a massive difference to that team, because if you imagine previously we'd been mandating that they have these quality gate checks and that they can't pass their PRs until they've completed. Well,
Yep.
all of a sudden they're completing within a minute instead of 25. So they can go ahead and they can complete their work, and the system is not stopping them anymore. It's not blocking them or slowing them down. So we saw a massive benefit there, as they could turn around work much quicker. And then those overall master branch scans down to 15 minutes. And since then, it's dropped even further to around 5 minutes. So it's a significant improvement in performance. And we've seen that across the board for projects as well. So that wasn't the only benefit we saw. So we had I mentioned that we had a lengthy upgrade process as
Mhm.
SonarQube did stuff to its database. It was migrating data. It was doing stuff. At the end of this, the database had dropped in size by 50%. So we'd gone
Wow.
down by 50%. And this is a cloud-hosted database. Obviously, we pay for the resources that we use. So that was a direct saving for us there. And because of the improved performance, we were able to reduce the resources that we assigned to that database as well from a compute perspective. We were able to reduce the resources for the container as well. So the improved performance of the product let us then scale back the resources that we'd assigned, give us a direct cost saving as well in storage and compute.
That's
And
fantastic.
the teams benefit. They get much better performance. Their productivity is not affected. They're not sitting around waiting, juggling PRs to try and keep productive whilst they wait for others to come back. And that avoids that context switching that kills all of our productivity. They could just go in, do their PR, get their scan done, all good. Code review happens, and then it goes in.
That's fantastic here. I love it. Um, are there any other? I know this was kind of the big message that we heard from you, and it's great to hear the details and that you're still continuing to see improvements. Are there any other things in the LTA in the 2025.1 release that helped you with your code health strategy or your teams, or anything to help identify and resolve critical issues faster?
I think that the performance was the big deal there. That's what's unblocked our teams. I know that the AI code gen fixes that. I know that's not new in 2025.1, but that's something that we have newly adopted, and the teams have been really liking that. So not only getting issues raised by SonarQube, but having it suggest a fix, which is fantastic. And I know that we've also moved on to 2025.2 now in order to benefit and be part of the early access preview for the advanced security. So that's again another reason why we keep on top of these latest releases, is that they bring the good stuff. So we like to keep moving and benefit from those features.
I want to get to your how you've been using advanced security, and I want to get to ask you that. But before I do, just one last thing. Do you have any advice for any of the people listening today or watching today that about, like, if they're getting ready to upgrade, any advice to them about the upgrade process and maybe the top benefits?
Yeah, I think I would just be aware that this release may potentially take a little bit longer, because it seems that there were some significant changes happening on the database size. But you are going to reap those benefits. So have a look at your the current performance that you're getting out of your projects. Maybe if you have some particularly long running projects there. Like I say, we've seen the benefits on not only the master full scans, but also on the pull request scans as well. So there may be areas there, and particularly if, like with us with those larger projects, we did have some resistance for mandating quality gate checks in pull requests, because it took a little while to run. That's not going to be a blocker for you anymore. So yeah, I'd say look at the upgrade. Be wary of planning enough time to take your system down and do the upgrade. If it's the same as my experience, then you may see it takes a bit longer than previous upgrades, particularly the 10.x version line that we had previously. Those upgrades were much quicker for me. But yeah, the 2025.1 and the new versioning system did take a little while. But yeah, just monitor the database size before and after as well, and see what difference you can get there. And yeah, just take into account that it might take a little while. And for us, it was around taking about 6 hours or so, which is quite a bit longer than previous upgrades. But yeah, but well within the window that we'd allowed anyway.
That's great. So be ready, but reap the benefits, huh? That's
Absolutely,
great.
yeah.
All right, advanced securities. Tell us about that. You're in the advanced security early access program. Why did you want to join that, and what are you looking for with it that you found useful, and how has it been for you?
Yeah, so we use a number of tools for our software composition analysis and dependency vulnerability checking. And a number of these tools have their issues. They tend not to be very user friendly. We find our developers really like SonarQube. Like you say, you're a developer built product for developers. Our developers really like to use SonarQube. So when we found out that you were bringing in some of these features into the product, we were very excited, as we currently have other products which going back to the shift left point, don't integrate very well on the left hand side. So they tend to be products that are run on a schedule after the fact. So you might go and add a dependency to a product, and then a couple of weeks later you'll do a scheduled security scan, which might find that dependency has a known vulnerability, or maybe that dependency is using a prohibited license. So
to catch it later, does that mean that couple of weeks work is lost, or there's now another whole cycle of work to recover from having found that had vulnerabilities?
Yeah, it's then you've got rework that needs to be done, which and if it's maybe you need to completely swap that component out entirely and go to an alternative, and that's going to affect the development for that product. Worst case scenario, you put something live that has a vulnerability that you don't yet know about. But that's something that we would avoid anyway. But if you were to build and release, if you had a very rapid cycle, that could potentially happen. So we wanted to avoid that by shifting left as much as possible with the security scans, and also the license checking as well, so checking for prohibited licenses. So we are very happy to see that you're bringing this into SonarQube, and the way it works is that there is a new tab that you see on your SonarQube project that shows your dependencies. There's another tab that shows any vulnerabilities there, so I can see the full SBOM of my product. I can see all of the dependencies that are being used. I can see if there are any vulnerabilities in it. It tells me and our developers, which is very good, which version of packages that we need to upgrade to get to a fixed version. It gives them a lot of guidance around exactly what they need to do. And it does this at the point of a pull request scan. So as a developer, let's say I introduce a package with a vulnerability. It runs as part of my PR scan, the quality gate that we talked about, and then that's raised and that blocks that PR from being merged. So all of a sudden we've got that security scan really shifted left to stop that getting in, to avoid that wasted effort of any rework or of any retesting that has to happen. And also that's very important for us from a licensing perspective as well, to make sure that the licensing of those components doesn't breach our license policy. And I know that I think in the future, SonarQube Advanced Security is going to be a bit more flexible around how the license policy can be configured, so that we could tailor that to really reflect our own license policy for open source software. And so that's something that we really like the look of as well. So being able to define our policy to say we don't want these licenses to be used, and then we can stop those being introduced at the PR level rather than finding them after the fact and then having to deal with it.
That's great. I'm excited that you're seeing all these things. I love that you appreciate this being in the workflow that your developers are used to, within SonarQube Server in the UI, and they can see it right there all together in kind of one window pane, if you will.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks just like the rest of SonarQube. It's, behaves in exactly the same way. They know what they're getting. It's very intuitive. So it's, that's what we want.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your story. I do want to get to a few questions. I see that we have a few, but before we do that, is there anything else? Do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with people?
Nothing major. I think I would encourage people to stay on top of the new releases. I think it's we're seeing a lot of new functionality come, some great features, and then the benefits like the performance. That's something that I would recommend everybody upgrades for, particularly if you have large projects as well. You're really going to see the benefits there.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to get to a few questions. Thank you again. This has been great. Your story has been. I've told you this before when we've talked. It's music to my ears, right? And this is exactly what we work so hard to achieve. We do have a quick poll before I switch to Q&A, and I think Manish is going to join us for the Q&A.
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. I had not listened to the story in details that you shared today, so it was very, very detailed as to what you experienced, how you what are the good suggestions you have for our customers, other customers who are looking to upgrade. So really appreciate you taking the time today. There's one question from the audience that I would like to start with, and that is, are you considering the SonarQube Cloud sometime in future? And what are the prerequisites for migrating to SonarQube Cloud? I think the second part we can answer it, but are you one of the customers here or attendees here wants to know whether you're looking at moving from server to cloud?
We're not looking to move to cloud. No, we've always liked to operate our own instance and keep all of our source code in-house. It also gives us full flexibility over that product, the operation of that. And when you run as a container, it becomes very easy to operate locally. We do run out of the Azure cloud, so it's very easy for us. But we're not currently looking at Sonar Cloud.
Yeah, I think as you run your SonarQube in Docker containers, it's fairly lightweight. You don't, like you said, you have to point to the new image, pull the new image, instantiate it, and you're up and running. Your database is in the cloud already. So it's a fairly straightforward thing. Yeah. So I there are certain customers who want to get out of managing infrastructure, and they're probably looking for cloud. In terms of prerequisites for migrating to SonarQube Cloud, I can probably answer that. There is actually not really any prerequisite. There are, however, we do not have a direct, migration path from server to cloud, but it is doable. It's basically, both the products have the same set of capabilities. They do support all the languages that are available in server. They do support all the languages in the same languages in cloud. You can import configurations from your server environment into the cloud. And the database migration is where the answer can vary a little bit depending on what database you're using on-prem versus when you move it to cloud, what needs to happen there. So if you're not too worried about migrating your old database and old analysis, it is a relatively straightforward move from server to cloud. I don't think we have quite a few customers who are actually doing this as we speak. We also have our solution engineering team who can work with you and guide you through the exact process based on your exact requirements and what you have in terms of your unique environments. So we can work with you. So reach out to your sales rep and ask for a solution engineering assessment, and we can handle that on a case-to-case basis. There's another question that came up, and I'm not sure if I understand it correctly. Maybe Robert, you do. Is there a way to see users who have signed up for email notifications in SonarQube Server? You do get, if you're asking about email notifications for reports, you do get email notifications for reports. You can subscribe to reports. Or are you asking about notifications about new server releases? In that case, you can sign up for the SonarQube updates on our SonarQube product web page. We have, towards the bottom of it, we have a newsletter which you can subscribe to be aware of what is coming and what is new in the product. If there's
we have a monthly newsletter that we send out.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any way to see that if you've signed up for it. But if you haven't and you want to, you can. And there's a way, I believe, to opt out if you don't want to receive the newsletter anymore.
Yep. And for Blake, who asked this question, if you have follow-up, do reach out to us directly. We can answer your question if you have not answered it correctly. There's another question that just came up. For the container version, is it free version of SonarQube? So we have Docker images available for SonarQube community build, which is a free build, which is an open source build. And then we have the commercial editions, which are basically licensed. So you can get the images, but you will need a license to run the commercial editions. We do have trial licenses available for our commercial plans. So you could request a trial license and run a SonarQube image as a container to see for yourself how it works.
Here's one. When is Advanced Security releasing? When can I get it?
Yeah, so we are really excited to come out with that Advanced Security. And thanks, Paul. It was good to hear that it's enabling you to shift left or start left, as we call it in Sonar. And I think, the beauty of that solution is basically you get integrated code analysis for both quality and security, including first-party code, AI-generated code, and open source libraries in the same unified single tool, right? So you don't have to set up multiple tools, and it runs as part of the PR analysis, as you said. So it is coming out. It is becoming going to be generally available in the May release of SonarQube Server 2025.3. It should come out towards the end of May. Is when it will become generally available. Right now, it is in early access, and shortly after that, we'll also make it available in our cloud offering.
Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more or two. Let's see. Will upgrading be different or more difficult if we're on a version older or earlier than 9.9? And I don't think so. I mean, if you're used to the upgrade process, if whatever dot version you're on, so if you're on a 8.1, then you would upgrade to 9.9, and then so we call it step upgrading. And from 9.9, you would go to the LTA. So you basically do step upgrading to the LTA of your major version, and then you step upgrade LTA to LTA. And the purpose of that is because each LTA to LTA upgrade adjusts your database appropriately, so you can't skip. I hope that answered the question.
Yep, I think you did. So yeah, it's important to make sure your schema is correct for the database and for the version of SonarQube that you're running. So yeah, so I think we don't have any other questions as far as I can tell. But if we left anything unanswered, we will respond to them later after this webinar and make the Q&A available to you. Do you want to wrap it up, Robert?
Yep. Thank you, everyone. It's been a great session, and I really, really, really enjoyed talking with you, Paul. Thank you so much for meeting with us and sharing your story. I know you came to our London city event. We're doing city tours around the country, around the globe, sorry. And Paul came to the London event and stood up there. We didn't prompt him or ask him. Yeah, I think you just decided to say, hey, I think this is great. So thank you so much for being vocal about your experience. We love it. And you've been fantastic. So it's great to hear your story, and I hope it encourages everybody to upgrade. And we don't have info on the next webinar. I think some info is coming out. Don't forget, we will be posting, we will send you the video recording of this webinar, and we will be posting the questions and answers in our community. So if you still have more questions or you didn't see your question answered, go to our community. That's where you'll see all the responses. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.